Wendy, I'm standing here in Kiev's Independence Square. Back in November, this was the epicenter, the focus point for hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians demanding freedom, justice, more human rights, and for the president of this country to step down. It is also the flashpoint of violent clashes between protesters and police. And having spent many days here on the square, I can tell you without a shadow of doubt, from the protesters' point of view, they are ready to face more attacks from the government. I can also tell you that it is the country's Christians that have literally stood in the gap for peace.
57-year-old Yevgeny Sukhanov, father of 5 and highly educated, joins demonstrators on the front lines of this Ukraine showdown.
I'm here to fight against the evils of my government.
Since November, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have taken to the streets of Kiev demanding government reform.
I want the president and his entire corrupt and oppressive government gone.
For over 2 weeks now, Sukhanov's been on Grushevskova Street in the heart of the capital city, where it looks and smells like a war zone.
And the moment you enter this area, you can smell it. Your clothes begin to smell like smoke. Look at the ground. It's just black from the fires that have been burning here for several weeks.
He spends most of his time up here at the very front of the battle line, watching his so-called enemy on the other side of the barricades, Ukraine's elite special forces known as Berkut.
We keep an eye on their movements, how many forces they bring in and out, what kind of equipment they have. We have to be ready.
Sukhanov says the men standing guard on his side are a motley crew from all walks of Ukrainian life.
We have doctors, engineers, carpenters, businessmen, laborers, ordinary people who want freedom and justice.
And they've all been here for months in freezing conditions, many of their faces covered in black soot. Most folks here suspect a major assault from the government, and they are preparing their defense.
Then take a look at this. Look at how high this barricade is. I mean, I'm standing. This is me. That's how high the barricade is. Folks have spent days filling the sandbags with snow. They're ready because they know probably about 200 yards in this direction are hundreds of Berkut. They're the Ukrainian police who are fully armed, fully ready to do any kind of action if called upon to do so.
Standing between Sukhanov's men and the special forces are Christians. Every day they come not to protest, but to sing and pray for peace. In the background, a police officer with a bullhorn warns them not to come too close. But the warning doesn't scare Nadia Tolkocheva, who tries repeatedly to hand Bible verses to the men in black.
I have Christ in me. Why should I be afraid? I wanted to give our brothers the text of Psalm 91. These men are not our enemies. They are our brothers, our sons.
This Christian mother facing the police weeps for her son, who was reportedly killed during violent clashes between police and anti-government protesters.
For what? For what did you kill my son? And now another son is missing.
This past Sunday, as thousands were gathering on Maidan, on Independence Square, the epicenter of the political crisis, hundreds of Christian volunteers also fanned out. They had a mission. They had 15,000 copies of the Gospel of John to hand out.
People are looking to the politicians to solve our crisis, but we're here to say it's not politics, but Jesus Christ who is the answer for Ukraine.
And since last November, the churches here in Ukraine have been actively involved. They've seized the opportunity to speak truth and hope into the political crisis. Churches have held 24-hour prayer vigils. They've conducted numerous evangelistic outreaches. CBN Kiev has been actively involved, as they have been for the last 20 years, using television and other evangelistic tools to share the gospel of Jesus Christ.
One of the things that's exciting to me is that we are not embarrassed to name the name of God, not embarrassed to name the name of Jesus Christ. We've got placards down there on Maidan of saying, pray to Jesus. Jesus has the future for our nation. And they're praying from the stage down there morning and night. They open up every morning with the Lord's Prayer.
CBN News had an exclusive interview with the former head of the Ministry of Defense here in Ukraine. He told me how encouraged he was by the role the church was playing.
All churches, all denominations, with no exceptions, they are here. They are spreading an important message on those barricades, and when the police started to attack, it was the Christians who stood and called for peace.
As I have spent time here on the streets of Kiev, meeting with demonstrators, but also more importantly with the church, they say they will continue to speak hope and lay the foundation, those biblical foundations that they pray will one day bring peace and prosperity to their nation. George Thomas, CBN News, Kiev, Ukraine.